welcome to our hearing. I'd like to bring this joint hearing of the Senate Consumer Protection Professional Licensing Committee and the Senate Environmental Resources Energy Committee on Alternative Energy Portfolio Standards, AEPS, to order. The purpose of this hearing is to gain a better understanding of some of the issues related to AEPS. There are several bills before our committee that address the future of our power generation. While the various bills may be discussed here today, please know that this hearing is not specific to any piece of legislation, but the issue as a whole. Any discussion we have should be in the context that maintains our energy diversity in a fair, flexible, and resilient manner. Pennsylvania has the distinction of being a net exporter of power to the grid. We want to maintain this distinction no matter what the issue: refueling, polar vortex, pipeline issues, sun, wind, or intermittency. Our system should seamlessly transition to keep the lights on in the most economic, environmentally friendly way possible. So thank you very much. Jarrett?
Thank you, Senator Tomlinson. I want to thank Senator Tomlinson, Boscola, Yaw, UD-Check, and all the members who are here today for giving us this opportunity. My name is Jarrett Gibbons, and I'm the Executive Director of ARIPPA, the Appalachian Region Independent Power Producers Association, which is the trade association representing the Pennsylvania coal refuse to energy industry. Now, you might hear coal refuse at times referred to by their names: waste coal, calm, gob, or bony. But what this is, the Pennsylvania coal refuse to energy industry is removing this polluting material, which is the remnants of the coal mining and coal cleaning operations from 50, 100, 150 years ago that scars the landscape of eastern and western Pennsylvania and causes environmental, human health, and safety issues to the coal regions, as well as downstream from those areas downstream from those regions. In compliance with current and modern environmental and mining regulations, our business model is pretty simple. We sell electricity, which pays for the environmental remediation work that we do. Notably, our principal task is not the generation of electricity. It is environmental reclamation and achieving the ancillary economic and environmental safety and health benefits these efforts provide. This is our mission. We remove the polluting and dangerous coal refuse, we remediate the sites on which it was stored, and we restore the land and the water. We call this three-part reclamation process our environmental reclamation fuel cycle. The coal refuse energy industry brings energy and environment together and represents a unique Pennsylvania solution to a Pennsylvania problem. To give a few numbers, in 2015, Pennsylvania estimated the cost to remediate coal refuse problem in the state would be a $2 billion burden to the Commonwealth. Currently, the PADP lists over 766 coal refuse piles on abandoned mine lands in Pennsylvania, covering 8,250 acres and representing at least 300 million tons of coal refuse. Some studies say it could be as much as 1 billion. Pennsylvania DEP estimates right now there are 92 active coal refuse fires and 38 underground mine fires burning in the Commonwealth. Coal refuse piles threaten human health and safety, water and air quality due to the acid mine drainage and coal refuse pile fire emissions. And there is no viable, environmentally efficient, cost-effective alternative to what our coal refuse to energy projects remediate. At capacity, this industry can consume 10 million tons of coal refuse and remediate 200 acres of land each year. To date, the industry has removed 230 million tons of coal refuse and restored thousands of acres of abandoned mine lands. However, since 2016, the industry has only been removing about 8 million tons per year, and that number continues to decline as more facilities are closing. Billions of gallons of acid mine drainage water have been remediated, benefiting over 1,200 miles of streams. Downstream communities in the Chesapeake watershed and the Ohio watershed have been directly benefited from our removal of acid mine runoff, heavy metals, and other polluting substances. The benefits of the coal refuse energy industry are not only environmental health and safety, there are also some wonderful economic benefits that we provide. Currently, there are 13 operating facilities in Pennsylvania with a combined generation of just under 1,400 megawatts. All but one of these facilities range between 33 and 120 megawatts. You heard about PURPA earlier. Most of these facilities were built under PURPA and started off with purchase power agreements, but all but one of those purchase power agreements have expired. That last one will expire this time next year. So annually, these plants support a payroll in excess of $220 million, over 3,600 family-sustaining jobs, and all of this in financially distressed rural communities which live with mining's legacy and struggle to create economic opportunities. These facilities remit over $20 million, over $20 million per year in state and local tax revenue to schools and communities, with an annual economic output to the Commonwealth that exceeds $740 million. If the coal refuse energy industry were to disappear, the replacement value of this industry is estimated at over $5 billion of environmental remediation infrastructure. The coal refuse industry is effectively a public-private partnership. We do a lot of work with Pennsylvania DEP and a variety of community-based environmental organizations like the Eastern and Western PA Coalitions for Abandoned Mine Reclamation and Earth Conservancy to address particularly damaging coal refuse piles. These partnerships encompass Pennsylvanians working together to create the most significant avoided cost mechanism to the Commonwealth to fight the ravages of these piles. Simply put, if left to the state and federal government, this would be dramatically more expensive, or more likely, it would never happen at all. Now, many of our coal refuse facilities are today the victim of their own success. The distance of retrieving fuel and related transportation costs have increased, and as the piles adjacent to these facilities have been remediated by the industry, leading to greater cost to ship both the fuel to the plant as well as the beneficial use ash back to the sites to remediate. Our environmental reclamation fuel cycle, which represents on average up to 70% of the operating costs of these facilities, and no other electric generation bears a similar type of burden for cleaning up the environment. Participation in the wholesale energy markets, for which these facilities were not designed, has become challenging due to the corrosive effect upon electricity pricing of state and federal subsidies and suppressed natural gas prices. Federal and state environmental and regulatory requirements, reclamation bonding expenses, and corresponding capital and operating and maintenance costs represent an escalating expense that threaten these facilities' survival. In the past 5 years, we've already seen 2 facilities close, Piney Creek and NEPCO. Both are permanently shut down, and the Kimberly-Clark facility in southeastern Pennsylvania is converting to natural gas later this year. The Cambria facility in Cambria County has been mothballed and may or may not reopen, and 4 additional plants are only operating on a very limited seasonal basis, while nearly all of these are threatened. It became clear about 5 years ago after Piney Creek closed that without strengthening this public-private partnership, all of these plants would face the imminent threat of closure. Now, as you know, the coal refuse facilities are participants in the Tier 2 AEPS program. Currently, the program does not produce a meaningful incentive for these facilities to increase their beneficial use of coal refuse for energy production and environmental remediation. There are more than 9,500 megawatts of installed capacity registered in Pennsylvania's Tier 2 AEPS program. Of that, more than 5,500, or over half, are out-of-state sources. In 2017, coal refuse accounted for 61.4% of the retired Tier 2 AEPS credits, which was the highest year for our industry to date. While the weighted average price of Tier 2 credits in 2017 was 16 cents, and as you heard earlier, it was 22 cents this past year, most of our coal refuse credits were sold for significantly less. For example, one Pennsylvania coal refuse facility sold just under 350,000 Tier 2 AEPS credits between 2016 and 2018 at an average price of 5 cents per credit, totaling just over $17,000 in AEPS funding during a 3-year period, or less than $6,000 per year. AEPS pricing for Tier 2 has not been sufficient to incentivize these facilities to run more often or to stabilize their operations. Without a strengthened relationship, the partnership between the state and this industry will falter. The avoided cost mechanism will diminish, and ultimately this uniquely Pennsylvania industry will disappear. The removal, remediation, and reclamation activities of the coal refuse facilities that result in immediate benefits and represent direct, quantifiable, and material improvement to environmental health, safety to the communities which must be preserved. And I hope if you look at my written testimony provided, take a look at the pictures there. You can see some of the before and after. Something that looks like the surface of the moon, dark, orange, black landscapes turned into green fields, turned into economic development opportunities. We stand behind our immediate and measurable environmental benefits. Tons of refuse removed, water runoff cleaned, and abandoned coal refuse sites reclaimed. We want to thank the General Assembly for its ongoing bipartisan support of our industry and look forward to working with you as we go forward to continue that partnership.
Thank you so much, Jarrett.